Before metal, bricks, or modern tools existed, Native Americans faced the same question every human must answer. How do you build a home that keeps you alive? They turned to the land itself for the answer. They watched how wind carved valleys, how sunlight warmed certain slopes, how wood bent and earth held heat. Then they transformed those lessons into shelters that endured scorching summers, freezing winters, and storms that could tear the forest apart. These were not simple huts. They were survival engineered through a deep understanding of nature. For the native peoples of North America, the land did not simply offer raw materials, it offered instructions. Every forest, every riverbank, every stretch of prairie carried within it the tools needed for survival. The challenge was not to find resources. The challenge was to understand which materials belonged to which climate, which season, and which purpose. This knowledge shaped every home they built and revealed a deep relationship between people and the ecosystems that sustained them. Wood was one of the most versatile materials, but it behaved differently across the continent. In the dense woodlands of the Northeast, tall, straight trunks became the ribs of longhouses. Builders bent saplings into great arches by soaking them in warm water or heating them with steam from fire pits. These curved frames created structures that were flexible enough to withstand storms, yet strong enough to hold families for generations. In the Southeast, lighter wood was used for wattle panels, a lattice of branches woven tightly before being sealed with a layer of clay-rich mud that hardened into strong insulated walls. In the Great Lakes region, birch bark became a treasured resource. Its waterproof surface and surprising strength made it ideal for covering wigwams, turning simple wooden frames into warm shells that resisted rain and frost. Where wood was scarce, the earth became the primary architect. On the prairies, where trees grew in scattered clusters, the people turned to grass. The tall prairie grass was gathered in great bundles and tied into thick mats. These mats then formed the walls of earth lodges, structures that combined wooden posts with layers of packed soil. The earth acted as natural insulation. It absorbed heat from the hearth during the day and released it slowly through the cold night. This made earth lodges some of the warmest homes built in pre-contact North America, strong enough to hold steady against winter storms and cool enough to protect families during intense summer heat. In the Southwest, stone and clay shaped entire ways of life. The desert sun was relentless, the nights freezing, and water was a rare treasure. To survive in such extremes, the Pueblo peoples carved shelter directly from sandstone cliffs or shaped adobe bricks from earth mixed with straw and water. When dried under the sun, these bricks hardened into blocks that resisted heat and cold with equal resilience. Thick adobe walls were not just barriers, they were climate control systems. They kept cool air inside during the day and released stored warmth through the night. Entire villages rose from these handcrafted bricks, standing as proof that survival in harsh environments requires not only strength, but also strategy. Grass and hides played crucial roles in mobile cultures. On the Great Plains, where the world moved with the bison herds, homes had to move as well. The Plains tribes created teepees using long poles of lodgepole pine covered with heavy buffalo hides. These hides were not chosen at random. Their thickness created a barrier against winter winds, and their natural oils resisted rain. Smoke flaps at the top could be adjusted to release smoke while trapping warmth. During winter, an inner lining of additional hides created a double wall of insulation. The result was a structure that could be assembled in minutes, yet survive blizzards that swept across the open plains. In every region, nothing was wasted. Stones became anchors for walls. Clay sealed water leaks. Roots acted as binding cords. Even the positioning of each material was deliberate. Heavy materials faced the direction of the strongest winds. Light materials faced the sun to dry quickly after storms. Every choice turned unpredictable nature into a controlled living space. What emerges from this mosaic of techniques is a portrait of people who understood that survival was not a struggle against the land, but a partnership with it. The environment dictated the palette. The people transformed that palette into homes that stood for years or moved with the seasons. Their mastery lay not in dominating nature, but in listening to it, learning from it, and shaping shelters that honored the guidance the land provided. Long before a single log was lifted or a blade of grass was woven into a wall, the first home of a Native American family began with an act of observation so careful that it bordered on ceremony. Survival in the ancient North American landscape required more than strength or skill. It required the ability to read the land itself and understand its hidden patterns. Every rise in the ground, every shift in the wind, every cluster of trees carried a message about warmth, danger, shelter, or opportunity. Those who could read these messages endured the winters. Those who could not simply vanished from the story. For many Native American nations, the environment was the first architect. People did not impose their homes onto the land. They allowed the land to reveal where a home could live. The world before European settlement was a world of extremes. Summers could scorch the plains, winters could swallow entire valleys, and storms could turn forests into mazes of falling branches. Finding a safe home site was the first test of survival, and generations passed down the knowledge of how to do it with precision. The Haudenosaunee sought slightly elevated ground where breezes kept insects away and sunlight warmed the earth. Tribes of the southeast chose fertile river terraces that offered flood-free zones and soft soil for construction. Nations of the Great Plains studied the behavior of bison herds, since the trails they carved through grass revealed sheltered pockets and natural windbreaks. Whether in forest, desert, mountain, or coast, every group learned the same truth. The land itself would tell them where to live if they listened. Water was essential, but dangerous. A home built too close to a river risked winter flooding. A home built too far lost precious time each day gathering the water that kept families alive. So Native Americans found a balance. They selected sites with reliable access to water, but with elevations that kept seasonal storms from sweeping homes away. They learned to recognize the quiet signs of flooding: bent grasses, silt lines clinging to stones, driftwood pushed deep into bushes. These signs were warnings that the land remembered water even when the river was low. Wind was another teacher. On the Great Plains, winter winds could cut through clothing with the sharpness of a stone blade. To survive, people positioned their lodges behind ridges or clusters of tall grass that broke the wind before it reached their homes. In the Northeast, long houses were oriented so that their doors faced away from powerful winter gusts. In the deserts of the Southwest, breezes acted as natural ventilation, and homes were placed to catch the flow of cool evening air. Every nation used wind differently, but all understood that mastering airflow was a matter of life or death. Sunlight guided decisions as well. In cold regions, families chose sites where winter sun lingered longest, warming the ground and reducing the need for fuel. In hotter climates, shade became the priority, and homes were built beneath cliffs or among stands of trees that created natural canopies. The sun was both a gift and a warning. It could nourish a home or scorch it, depending on how skillfully it was harnessed. What emerges from these choices is a portrait not of wandering tribes, but of environmental engineers. The people who built these early homes were not simply reacting to nature, but working with it. Their decisions reflected an understanding of ecology that modern science is only beginning to appreciate. They saw the land not as an obstacle, but as a living partner in survival. Choosing a home site was not the beginning of construction. It was the beginning of a relationship between people and place, a relationship that would shape everything built upon it. To understand how Native American homes truly functioned, we must look beyond the materials and into the structure itself. Every curve, every doorway, every angle of a wall was a deliberate answer to one fundamental challenge. How do you stay alive when nature does everything it can to take your warmth, your shelter, and your strength? The people of ancient North America responded with designs rooted in a deep understanding of physics, airflow, temperature control, and long-term resilience. They engineered survival into the very bones of their homes. The Longhouse of the Northeast was a masterpiece of environmental design. Its elongated shape was not simply a cultural preference. It was a response to the climate. The rounded roof allowed snow to slide off rather than accumulate. The tall interior volume created a layered atmosphere where smoke could rise without choking the living space below. The placement of multiple hearths along a central corridor created pockets of warmth that spread through the entire structure. Families slept near these warm zones, while ventilation openings along the roofline carried smoke upward in a steady current. This was not guesswork. It was a refined airflow system learned through centuries of winter storms. In the Southeast, wattle and daub homes revealed a different kind of engineering. The woven lattice acted like a natural reinforcement grid, giving the wall flexibility during storms, while the clay coating hardened into a thermal shield. During hot summers, the clay absorbed heat slowly and released it through the night, preventing sudden temperature swings that could weaken the structure. During winter, the same walls trapped warmth from the hearth, transforming a fragile frame into a protective cocoon. Even the thickness of the clay was measured by experience. Too thin and heat escaped. Too thick and the wall cracked. The balance was the key to survival. Farther west, where the plains stretched beneath a sky so wide it seemed to swallow the earth, the teepee became a triumph of aerodynamic design. Its cone shape offered no flat surface for the wind to attack. Storms rolled around the teepee instead of striking it head-on. The rising interior created a natural draft that pulled smoke upward while pulling fresh air inward at ground level. The adjustable smoke flaps responded to every shift of the sky, opened wide under calm weather, closed tightly during blizzards. The teepee was not only portable, it was a climate-responsive chamber that allowed families to survive in a landscape where winter could arrive without warning. In the Southwest, Pueblo architecture revealed one of the most advanced understandings of passive temperature control in the ancient world. Thick adobe walls created thermal mass, absorbing heat during the day and releasing it at night. Multi-storied construction reduced surface exposure to the desert sun, while interconnected rooms shared warmth like cells in a living organism. Roof entry doors limited drafts and protected families during raids or storms. The alignment of entire villages often followed the movement of the sun, with south-facing walls capturing winter heat and shaded courtyards providing relief during scorching summers. Nothing in these designs was accidental. Each choice improved the odds of surviving heat, cold, drought, and time. Even underground structures demonstrated remarkable engineering. The Earth Lodge of the Plains used the insulating power of the soil itself. Its circular shape created even heat distribution, and its thick roof of logs, brush, and packed earth could withstand storms that would tear other structures apart. The entrance tunnel acted like a pressure lock, preventing cold air from rushing inside. Many earth lodges remained standing for decades because their builders knew how to negotiate the strengths and weaknesses of the land. Across the continent, survival-shaped architecture, climate-sculpted walls, wind-shaped doorways, sunlight-shaped roofs. The homes of Native American nations became living systems where temperature, airflow, and structure worked together. These were not primitive shelters. They were adaptive technologies built with intelligence, patience, and a profound understanding of how to live with nature rather than fighting against it. In every beam, every brick of earth, every carefully placed opening, there was science, the science of staying alive. Before any wall was raised or any pole was set into the earth, Native American builders first studied the land, knowing that survival began long before construction. The land itself was a partner in survival. A poor location could mean constant cold drafts, scarce water, weak food supplies, and greater danger from storms or animals. A good location transformed even fragile shelters into strongholds that protected entire communities. This knowledge did not appear in written blueprints. It was inherited through observation, practice, memory, and stories passed through generations. In forest regions, families learned to read the shape of the land. A slight rise in the ground might stay dry during heavy rain. A cluster of evergreens could block wind. The sound of running water guided communities toward streams that stayed accessible year-round. Before a single pole was planted, the land was studied. How does the wind move here? How does the sun fall at the end of day? Where does water freeze first, and where does it linger? These were the silent calculations behind every winter lodge and summer shelter. On the Great Plains, wind shaped every decision. The open grasslands could channel storms without mercy. Hunters studied ridges and shallow depressions, searching for natural breaks where winds slowed. A teepee placed on the wrong side of a ridge could lose heat through constant drafts. Yet a teepee placed in a sheltered pocket could hold warmth even in violent winter conditions. Entire camps were arranged according to invisible lines of airflow that guided how smoke would rise, how fires would burn, and how bodies would sleep. In the Southwest, water dictated life. Pueblo and Hohokam communities positioned their homes with precision near canyon walls, springs, or seasonal rivers. These features offered more than water. They provided shade, thermal stability, and natural fortification against heat and sand-carrying winds. The thickness of an adobe wall mattered, but the direction it faced mattered even more. Communities learned where the morning sun created warmth and where the afternoon sun created danger. Homes were placed not simply on land, but within a larger environmental system where every angle of light shaped survival. In coastal and river environments, native peoples used the tides, currents, and seasonal fish migrations to choose their settlements. Wooden plank houses in the Pacific Northwest stood near sheltered bays where storms were less violent and resources were abundant. The height of the tide line was studied carefully. Building too close invited flooding. Building too far meant wasted energy each day. The result was a balance, a fine-tuned relationship between shelter and shoreline. Each home stood where the land, the water, and the seasons could work together rather than fight against each other. Farther north, Inuit and Yupik communities developed a map of survival grounded in wind patterns and the behavior of sea ice. Igloos were built on firm, compacted snow, never loose drifts. Winter camps stood away from pressure ridges that could shift without warning. Summer tents were placed where meltwater drained quickly to avoid cold, damp floors. Even hunting camps followed rules of terrain. High points allowed safer visibility. Low valleys trapped cold air and were avoided. Every decision reflected thousands of years of environmental reading. Across the continent, building a home was never the first step. The first step was listening. Listening to wind, listening to water, listening to the memory of the land. By reading the environment with remarkable precision, Native American communities turned geography into a survival tool. Their shelters were strong not only because the materials were strong, but because the land beneath them was chosen with care. The result was architecture shaped by knowledge rather than force. A teepee stood firm because it aligned with the wind. A pueblo room stayed cool because it worked with the desert sun. A longhouse endured winter because it sat on ground that stayed dry. A coastal plank house resisted storms because it was placed where waves spent their power before reaching shore. Survival in the ancient Americas was not a battle against nature. It was an agreement with nature, a relationship built on respect and understanding. Through this partnership, Native American homes became more than shelters. They became living expressions of environmental intelligence, crafted by people who saw the land not as an obstacle, but as the first and most important building material. Every structure they built carried the same lesson. Survival begins long before a home is raised. It begins with understanding water, wind, soil, and the slow language of the land. Native American builders mastered that language, turning raw landscapes into safe havens where families could endure winter, drought, and time itself. If you want to explore more powerful survival systems created by ancient people, like this video and subscribe. A new chapter is coming soon.